Welcome back to Amy Stadium. Half-time here, and the story so far, if you have joined us late, Port Adelaide jumped out of the blocks, kicked the first 2 goals of the game, but Sydney bounced back, grabbed an 11-point lead at quarter-time, and right now at half-time, it's the Sydney Swans by 16 points, but we understand that there could be a little bit of controversy because we think that Adam Goodes might have been reported for rough conduct. So we're looking forward to having a look at the replay again, just to show you exactly what did happen in this incident when he went in knees first.
It is a technique issue that has popped up in the last 12 months for Adam Goodes, and certainly through the NAB Cup it was scrutinised, and yeah, if he is reported, it sort of makes sense, but yeah, it's just a technique issue he's just got to sort out.
It is the power that they've not kept their opponents under 100 points in consecutive weeks since rounds 2021-2010. So if they're going to win today, they need to restrict Sydney in this second half, currently on 52 points, the Swans.
16 points the margin. Mumford and Redden resume hostilities. Gray gets a takeaway, but it's straight to Malcheski, and Gray forced to lay a tackle. McCarthy, Redden, Cassisi, Westhoff, Surgeon, and they're away. Boak on the wing. The lead from Wingard. Schultz from 4 deep. Wasn't initially for him, but he made it his.
No, he certainly had a bit of pace on the lead in front of Teddy Richards and took a really good mark, and I think he's a very good kick for goal, Schultz, and has been for quite a while. He's got a really good technique that he's comfortable with, and I think they'll get off to a good start with a goal here. That should fix him, shouldn't it, John? Absolutely.
He's kicked 7-goal-2 for the year. This for the perfect start. And he struck it sweet. It's a 10-point game.
Just the start Matty Primus would have asked for, and they managed to get the ball out of a scrappy situation in the middle of the ground, and there that sort of spread to get to that position, and that was Hannah. No, it wasn't Hannabury at all. I can't missed who the Port Adelaide player was, but just to get the ball in deep there to Schultz, that led up nicely. Just the start they needed to finish his job, and certainly did. So good start for Port.
Port Adelaide get an early goal, and the crowd finds voice. Mumford and Redden again. And the young man's done pretty well. Pushing the back from Surgeon, not paid to McLean, got away with that. Gray, Boak, Westhoff. Kick terrible. Straight into the oncoming Jack. Forced to go back and mop up his mess. Gray, Jack's over him, wraps him up. Kennedy to Malcheski.
Nice work from Kennedy to think his way through that.
Trengove, good idea to take it regardless, even though it was touch play on. You had to take possession there, Trengove. Long pump to half forward. Ball eludes Schultz. Wingard put his body on the line, the young fella. He's wrapped up now. Gets away with it. Had the blurred vision last week against Essendon with the injured eye, and that was a good test. He was subbed out of the game last week, and there was a thought that he might not play this week, Chad Wingard, but he has been able to front up, and that was a good effort. With the traffic coming, Robbie Gray and Luke Parker, who's had an outstanding opening half. Redden front spot, Mumford from behind, perfect, down to Kennedy.
We had no one with him, Kennedy.
Again, slapped down to ground. Bird got their first strip of it by Jacobs, good tackle. Tringo finds the line with a little toe poke.
Port Adelaide need to start going third man up at the contest, because Mumford, even if Redden wins it, it's still going down very close, where Kennedy and Parker have dominated the whole game. They need to get it out of that inner circle, get the ball to the outer circle so they can actually have an impact in this area.
Bird close to the line, and Mumford and Redden will go at it again. He's an all-Australian quality ruckman, Shane Mumford. Jared Redden just gained number 3. Paddy Ryder jumped all over him last week. It was a baptism of fire for Redden, but he's competing well here. But Thomas finds his way free of a tackle to Westhoff. Horrendous kick.
I mean, they're dominating possession in this quarter, 15-3, so certainly they've got to capitalise on these opportunities as they continually push forward, Port Adelaide.
Grundy Reed just misread that. Hasn't been his best day in the air. Parker, it's been his best day. Possession number 24 to half forward. Rowan sold a few, the dummy there. Hands it to Jack. Tough angle. Being shut down by Trengove. Centering kick. Jetta couldn't take the mark, but kept his feet. Spectacular. Instant reply, Sydney. They lead by 16.
Spot on with the call there, Dwayne. Jetta just had to keep his feet, and he did. Jack got out the back here and just ran very hard. Hey, Hartlett looked like he was happy enough to concede possession to Gary Rowan. Just allowed Gary Rowan to pick it up and then U-turn, and just too easy in the end. And the lead up was too easy. The finish was really good from Jetta. And really disappointed Matty Primus. So don't blame him there, Jono. It was disappointing effort from probably Hartlett to chase.
Good that we have that camera in Matthew Primus's coaching box. Great that we don't have a microphone.
Yeah, absolutely, because it would have blown up, I reckon, by now. And
or would be off air.
Yeah, that's right. You understand the frustrations because those chases and tackles they're about effort.
Redden. Oh, good smother, McGlynn, but he's hurt himself. McGlynn's down. Slow to get up. Westhoff in the meantime. They're a man down, the Swans. Port Adelaide go forward. Chaplin looks up. Needs to pick a target. Schultz is in the pocket in his direction. Ebert might go up. Got it.
Yeah, well done. And McGlynn is up and jogging now. Must have been a bit of a nasty kick in the shin, but he's up and limping away. But another opportunity.
And a great lead by Ebert. Then started in the middle of the 50, worked back towards the goal square and reeled around to pick up the flight of the ball and take an excellent mark.
Kicked a crucial goal in the second term. That'll bend back. That's just as big. That'll pump up the volume.
Yeah, good reply. Quick answer from the Swans at the other end, but Port Adelaide to reply. Here's McGlynn, the smother, and he got the big kick in the back of the calf, and then probably got his ankle trodden on by Big Redden. So he was a bit sore, but limps away from the contest here to get back involved, but he had no impact. Big Mummy just put the quick wheels on, but wasn't quick enough. But here's Ebert's mark. And as you said, good strong lead across the field and very good overhead mark.
Footskills were criticised a little in his time with the West Coast Eagles, but they have improved immensely in the past 24 months. From the ball up, it's back to a 10-point game. Clearance specialist Kennedy gets it out of the middle. Jetta in a race with Surgeon. Getting there first, Jack. Surgeon couldn't wrap him up. Hanbury to Bird. Swans looking for another instant reply. Wide to White. Couldn't get down. Westhoff does. Trengove having a good day at the office. Cassisi. Jacobs. Boak. Ebert.
That was well done, because Ebert worked hard. Grundy dropped off his opponent, so really had to use Ebert with a short lead.
Pierce. Shaw was clever there, held him up on the left. Schultz needs to go. Richards. Good grab. Saving mark again from Teddy. Malcheski. White. Mark on the outer side, and he can go.
Gary Rowan's in 50 by himself.
Hands it to Shaw, and luckily for Port Adelaide, the ball taken out.
Ben McGlynn, boys, has come to the bench again, so he's having issues with that leg. But speaking of big news, my sources over in Collingwood land have told me that Luke Ball has suffered an anterior cruciate tear and will have a normal reconstruction next week.
Okay, it's horrendous news for Luke Ball. And the news minor in comparison here. Adam Goods has been reported. Paul Stewart dragged down. Ball ricochets to the line. Hanbury keeps it alive, but straight to Jacobs, having a better third turn. Daniel Stewart, good grab.
Showed the courage of Luke Ball. Came back on the ground last night.
Wonder whether it was from the first
or the second
accident or whether that just weakened things.
Well, you'd hope it's not from the second, because they erred in putting him back on, if that's the case.
Well, I'm sure you'd feel the movement in the knee if it was the first one, so must have been the second one.
Kane Corns, Port Adelaide trail by 10. He heads wide. Schultz went a little early, still wins the contest. Centering kick doesn't go to goal, goes to Gray. Can't take the mark. Bolton gathers, gives. Malcheski, Goods. Now what to come down the corridor. Clever from Goods. Handed up just in time. McGlynn's handball not so good. Trengove. Stewart about to run down. Dom. That's ball.
Just blindsided by Gary Rowan.
Hanbury. Play on advantage. Held up. It's got one-on-ones ahead. And a good fist out of play. And get a ball in. Third term has been a good one so far for Ben Jacobs. Got that out of play.
Good closing
Gave a couple
speed.
of goals away in the first half. We've invested a bit in him as well. White.
Look out, it's not far
It's
away.
bending, it's coming back, and it's stumped through for a behind. 58-48, and the crowd has found voice. The Sydney Swans, they led by 45 points last week and then conceded the next 6 goals of the game to Fremantle. They had a huge lapse. And Port Adelaide has a little bit of momentum here. Pearce.
Just looking for options, just really slow movement from Port Adelaide players.
Stewart and White. Good body use by Jesse White. Parker, top of the square. Goods is down there. Reed up. Goods with the fist. Knocks it to the hot spot. Paul Stewart had it, lost it. Rowan slips it out. O'Keefe bumped in the back. Obviously, the umpire said it was illegal.
That was just reckless. It looked like a just tired mistake from the Port Adelaide player, and just going to concede a goal here, which is not what they need. They're working really hard on their defensive side of the game to make sure that they don't concede these soft goals, but that was just a reckless, tired mistake.
If you have joined us late, Sydney led by 11 points at quarter time. They led by 16 points at half time. And right now they lead by 17.
Well, you're right, Lynchy. Once again, Port Adelaide starting the quarter extremely well, getting the game back to 10 points. And notice this earlier, see Surgeon there, comes across the line. Great work by the interchange steward, holds off the player coming on, makes Surgeon go back on the field, come off the ground properly. Otherwise, that would have been extremely costly for Port Adelaide. Well done by the interchange steward.
Yeah, nice work there. Nice pickup, Jono.
Rizza is the interchange steward. Did a very good job there, Rizza. That's
Didn't he
his
do a good
special.
job? He's got one job to do, and he's done it very well.
Calm and composed, Rizza.
He knows his footy, Rizza. He knows his interchange. From the ball up, Wingard. Hope you're enjoying those pictures live and in high definition. And great to bring them to you. And that showed exactly what the interchange stewards have to handle. Free kick. Malcheski thumps it long, but Hartlett takes the mark. Tringo. Westhoff. Wingard again. Schultz. Gee, Wingard made him work for that. Hartlett. Eludes one tackle attempt. Pearce, he always wanted the left.
This might work well for him now. Gray's forward.
So Jacobs needs to hit Gray and let him go on the release. He does hit him on the bounce. Gray takes on and can't quite beat Kennedy. Ball knocked free. Kennedy wraps him up. That could be ball. Umpire lets them play on. And it's towed out of play by Matner. Ball in.
Robbie Gray's trying to plead his case, as Josh Kennedy's pleading his case. Gray thinks he caught one across the snout. Josh thought he had him ball and all there, so
I think he did get him.
might have got him early across it, but it was probably punishment for hanging onto the ball for too long.
Pearce on the left from the pocket. Can't bend it enough.
Oh. And there is a teammate, Schultz, at the top of the goal square. Once again with the arms spread.
Just got to get on with it. Don't make a scene about it. Work it out during the week, during training.
Redden gets there. Contest. Should have held it. Corns. Pop pass. Ebert and Cassisi. Too far out to score. Knows it. No one in the square. Thomas has to go. Good contest. Gets it to ground. Schultz. Richards wrapped him up. Okay, didn't dive on it. Ball came in. Umpire Troy Pennell explaining the story. Good spot for a ball up for Port Adelaide.
Goal square's vacant.
Redden and Mumford. You could throw a tea towel over 25 of them here. Look at that. It's like a little league game.
Massive play. Probably need to go back.
Gray slapped it down. Falls to Jack. Goods. One-on-one with Chaplin. Did well to hold him off initially. Goods' class nearly wins out. McCarthy. 1-2 worked well. Jacobs calls him on. Says, get going. Top of the square. Big pack flies. Gray stays down and can't slot it.
Just missed it, hit the post. But really good crumbing work, small forward work by Gray. He's getting involved in the game, just hasn't been able to make the most of his couple of occasions in the last 60 seconds.
Out of side. Fist from Trengove. The big and the small. Mumford chasing Corns. Got there first. Hands to Ebert. Wants to come inboard but had nowhere to go to. Gave it to Reid. O'Keefe. Hanbury. Goods. He dropped it. Cassisi. Run down by Bolton. Pearce. Little toe poke. Not 15. And Broadbent allowed to play on.
Go all the way.
Daniel Stewart collects. Has a long time to steady and nails it.
Nice work from Stewart to finish off the good work of his midfielders up in the middle of the ground. But that once again, the fumble, which was a good closing speed spoil on Goods to start with, but just the ability to with quick hands. And I think Broadbent actually sort of bluffed the Swans player because it was called play on. And here's Stewart's work, straightened up onto his left boot, and from 35 metres out, slotted it through nicely. Under a bit of pressure, but the gap is closing, back to 10 points now, halfway through the third. Looks like a very good athlete, Daniel Stewart.
He does, and someone lining up on the wing there, Justin Westhoff, 8 disposals for the quarter, setting a good example for Port Adelaide.
Wingard caught. 65 to 55. Halfway through this third. In perfect conditions at Amy Stadium. Good crowd in. Port Adelaide have won their only home game of the season so far. Bird squeezes it to half forward. Trengove. Now, will that be deemed deliberate? If it rolls out,
It was a shocking
it does
kick.
trickle. I think it was accidental.
Yeah, you couldn't give him that much credit, I wouldn't have thought. But he looks like he's going to be quite a good player, I would have thought.
He's been very good today.
Got a bit of Dustin Fletcher about him.
Yeah, a little
the
bit.
man that plays his 350th.
19 disposals so far, and he's played on Gary Rowan for a bit. He's on Reid at the moment. And defensive coach Brad Gotch absolutely loves him as a player.
Mumford slips it to Jack. 60 from goal, top of the square. McLean and Jacobs gets back, one-handed effort, gets away with it. Not quite. Jetta and Surgeon's problem. Surgeon bangs it outside 50. Paul Stewart and Rowan gets there first. Stewart hassles him off it. Now he's over it.
Got to get it out.
Just in time. Shaw. Corns. Unkind bounce. Jude Bolton can't get there to collect the ball. Rolls out of play. Luke Parker, 25 possessions so far. As you said, Brad Johnson, he's about to hit a career high, and here's where he's been getting them. All those spots.
All through the midfield there, you see only one ball forward of centre with a couple in defence, so he's just working between the arcs in this game.
Wingard in the meantime to Schultz. Richards right with him. Grundy makes it a 2-on-1. It takes off. Hanbury in the middle. The game's lifted a gear. 10 points the margin. Malcheski. Low ball. And Hartlett cuts it off. That was McLean's for all money. Westhoff. Called to go. Took the step. Ebert.
Tackle count in this quarter, 14-8 in favour of the Sydney Swans. Once again, that's the number recognition of how well their forwards have been defending.
McCarthy. Now Schultz is in a 2-on-1, so No use banging it long to Schultz. He's got 2 men to beat. There's the 2. Just zoning off him well. Not allowing the short lead or the duck back to the square. Thomas. Corns. Has McCarthy by hand. Elected not to use him. To the pocket. Schultz edged out of it easily by Richards.
Well, he was. It was a poor kick to Schultz. It was just favouring Teddy Richards. Good work from Richards, but you just need a little bit better service than that to the forward.
Bird to Shaw. Wants to play on quickly. Grundy puts him under pressure. Malcheski. Wingard wraps him up. Just gets a handball away in time. Mumford and Pearce go hard. Cassisi too high. He can cut it back to 4 points.
Well, first-year player Chad Wingard left his opponent to put that final bit of pressure on. It was good team pressure from Port Adelaide, but Wingard was able to get in, cause an ineffective handball, and the skipper, Tom Cassisi, wins the free kick. Speaking of a captain's goal, Inchi.
Captain's goal. What about the pressure? The pressure indicator in the coach's box for the Sydney Swans.
It's just gone up a notch.
Johnny Longmire looked like he was singing out to someone 200 metres away. Forgot that he had the phone.
This is a massive kick from the paint. Barely a zephyr of breeze, and he's not equal to it.
Just pulled that one. Was never looking likely off the boot. But really important, Port Adelaide. Keep the pressure on the Swans by holding the ball in here. They've got their zone in place.
Matt Nalong, good kick in. Hits Johnson on the run. To the wing. Rowan tries to fend off on Corns. Gets a kick in Jetta's direction. Reed right there with him. Looks up, sees Jetta, can't hit him as we go downstairs. Lee Colbert.
Andreas Everett comes on for the Sydney Swans, executing the sub. Ben McGlynn out of the game from now on.
So Everett on. McGlynn with that kick in the calf and the stomp on the ankle has succumbed to that, and we'll have a spell on the bench for the rest of the game.
Should be extra fresh. Andreas Everett didn't play in the Swans game against Fremantle last week. Back into the team this week. Boak can't grab it. Delay a tackle on the man we're speaking of, Andreas Everett in the 13. And we get a tie-up. That's Heath Grundy down behind play, by the way.
He got the ball kicked into the midriff, let's say, and went down, was quite uncomfortable for a few minutes. Just getting things sorted and back into it.
Stewart went for it out of the air. Jack. Huge leap, Trengo, but he didn't complete the mark. He hits the deck. Reed had 3 goes at trying to collect it. He can't. Rowan's over it. Can't get it out.
Just out of sorts today, Sam Reed. Obviously, his young star has looked very good in the first couple of weeks, but only had the 5 disposals so far. Just nothing clean about him so far this game. Here's Grundy, just got that kick off the ground from Boak and straight into the lower tummy region.
Well, we've got the Falcon for when it hits you in the head. I think we need to come up with a new name.
Geez.
Gary Rowan coming off through the blood rule, so Kennedy will come back on. That's why there's a pause here. 9-point lead to Sydney. We've ticked into time on third term. Port Adelaide yet to use their sub, Cameron O'Shea, so they still have a fresh man when they want him. Daniel Stewart to do the ruck work with Jesse White. White wins it. Boak gets the clearance.
Against the runner.
Oh. Free kick to Sydney. Stuart Cochrane got in the way. So Port Adelaide's runner Stuart Cochrane, former Kangaroo and Port Adelaide player. Wrong place, wrong time.
He's nearly got a touch there.
Long inside 50, Reed, who hasn't been able to collect one so far today, can't grab this one. Everett can't either. Handed out just in time, Hartlett. Carlisle. Dangerous kick, straight down the middle to Wingard. Clean bowled him, Cassisi mops it up. to Thomas. Slaps it out. Redden, not the usual runner to go to. Wingard is. And he takes off and he sees Schultz and he hits him on the move. Thought about playing on Jay Schultz.
Gray's running into the goal square.
He's a sharpshooter. Has to have the shot.
Matty Thomas didn't see him. Matty Thomas,
Oh,
there we go, still on.
To Gray.
Yeah, right, Jono. It was Thomas had to stop and allow Gray to go there by himself. But it should work out right anyway.
To pull the margin back to 3 points. For the first time since early in the second quarter. Didn't like it off the boot.
4 behinds now for Robbie Gray. And just looked up then, Lindsay was more worried about the result, I think, which is a confidence thing. First game back in.
Absolutely. Confidence down. You're waiting to see it go through rather than worrying about the execution of the kick.
Reed on the outer side. Carlisle's fist. Reed collects and goes. Hartlett backing back with the flight. Got some protection. Still needed to take the mark.
Coming up for disposal number 20. Hartlett just floating across half-back for a majority of the game today.
And recently signed a contract extension, so another young player who's decided to stick around.
Which is great news for Port.
Surgeon hands it up. That's a roll in the back. Pearce's ball, play on advantage. Redden hands to Ebert. Gray wants it long. Slips a little handball up to Thomas. Shrugs a tackle but drops it. Swans with a turnover. Bird tries to get it up. Knocked down by Redden. Gathered by Matner. McVeigh, Malcheski, Trengo.
Poor kick.
They had the free man. Couldn't hit him. Corns heads back. Thomas holds it. 70 from goal.
Swans have pushed numbers back at the moment, just blocking up the 50. Grundy's loose, or Matner's loose.
And Westhoff on 50, just the required 15.
Probably just outside his range.
Just a whisker outside.
Yeah, actually, looking at the flags, he actually might be back in there. Thought he was kicking against the breeze for a second there.
To pull it back to a 2-point margin.
I think he thought the same thing.
Yeah, a little close to the man on the mark, but it might work for him. A wobbler.
Oh,
a torpedo. It's sailing. Get out of here. They practiced that during the week, apparently.
Yeah, very cunning plan, I think. Just thought he was a little bit far out, so he kicked in the man on the mark, but did some very nice work. Here's the poor kick from Malcheski off half-back to Trengove. Just allowed Corns to set up and get the ball inside 50 again. Short pass and far too close to the man on the mark. Take the fingers, but let's do something with a little bit of style. It's going to get me on the highlight reel. We'll kick a little barrel. And that's a little floater straight over the hat of the umpire. Oh, you would be happy with that too, because you thought you butchered it, then you've kicked the barrel 50.
Yeah, a tip for young kids at home. Don't try that at home.
Big quarter, 11 disposals. Now a very important goal late in this quarter.
2.5 minutes left. The fresh sub, Andreas Everett to half forward. Front spot though, Chaplin. Head bandaged. And a massive 2.5 minutes coming up. Westhoff on the wing. Should be inspired by that last effort. Or dazed, one of the two. And with 2:22 left, it's a 2-point game.
Well, the Port defenders have been really good. They've managed to hold the real guns, Goods and Reed in the forward half. Goods only had the 8 disposals, Reed 6.
Pearce kicks it from mid-air. And it works for him. Another ball in.
The other one that's been held really well this quarter is young Parker. He's actually only had 2 possessions this quarter, so Port Adelaide doing a good job on him.
Gray took it and was taken. Cassisi couldn't get a handball out. Oh, lucky.
And it's around the footy where they've picked up their work rate, the Port Adelaide midfielders, equaling clearances for the quarter, which has certainly helped the Port Adelaide side, 9 apiece.
Well, they had to stem the flow because certainly the Swans in the first half were dominant, and that was mainly through Kennedy and Parker.
Again, they want to come to the open side. They want to take the game on. crowd get a little restless when this happens, but they need to spread that Sydney zone.
Well done, Gary Rowan. It was a three-on-one. If you look at the recipe for success for this quarter, and contested ball 36-28 in favour of Port. Attack 74% efficiency by hand and foot. That's a really good one. And tackles, the Swans are still leading the tackles, but a good turnaround from Port Adelaide, which has indicated their dominance in this quarter.
Down to 123. Sydney Swans have won the past 7 against Port Adelaide. They've had great success against Port and against Port here. They've won 6-3 against Port at AAMI Stadium. But that run is under threat right now.
Absolutely. Last victory here at AAMI Stadium in 2004. Their premiership year.
Finally plucks one.
Well, that's a great sign.
1 minute left. Goes to McVeigh, top of the 50, couldn't quite get there. Jacobs right with him. Youth and experience. McVeigh with the experience wins out. O'Keefe hasn't been his best day at the office. Surgeon, handball smothered. Hand up from Jude Bolton to Goods from the pocket. Missed. And let off. 47 seconds left. Maybe not time enough for a Port Adelaide score, but certainly time enough for a turnover.
The biggest difference from this year to last year with Port Adelaide is confidence in your teammate to leave your direct opponent to try and impact the contest. Last year they just would have wandered with their direct opponent and Sydney McVeigh would have kicked an easy goal. This year Jacobs leaves his direct opponent. Wingard earlier leaves his direct opponent, which causes a turnover or causes a score at the other end.
Redden, Mumford, Westhoff all go up. Boak with the crumb. No prior opportunity. Wrapped up.
And Goods, I mean, he kicks those goals from that sort of angle probably 7 out of 10 times. Just he hasn't had a great day, and he was just a little rushed. And he may be aware that he's been reported, so he might be a bit flat about that as well.
Kennedy bounces off a couple like a pinball. Dragged down, holding the ball. Big decision there. Had he got a free, it would have been a late chance at a score for Sydney. Right now, Port Adelaide get a chance to run down the last 15 seconds. Westhoff's ball.
Well, that we saw they were trailing in the sort of recipe for success, that factor for the quarter in tackles, but that's the sort of tackling pressure that you need around the ball.
Pumps it to the wing. Third man up, Grundy. Brings it down, not paid the mark. Mumford tries to shuffle it out. Sydney Swans have led this game by as much as 4 goals. But last week they led by 45 points against Fremantle and then conceded the next 6 goals of that game. And right now the Swans are under siege away from home. They lead by 3 points, 10-6, 66 to 9-9, 63.
The defensive half for the Sydney Swans, and in that quarter especially, Port Adelaide were very effective going inside 50, then converting their opportunities once they got in there. So a really important start to this last term. Port Adelaide, as they do at AAMI Stadium, if they get up early, get the nose in front, they'll be hard to stop.
Haven't led since early in the opening term, Port Adelaide. Kicked the first 2 goals of the game. The Sydney Swans kicked the next 3, took the lead. And Port Adelaide hasn't seen the lead since that time. Redden in the ruck. His baptism of fire continues against Mumford. He can't quite break free with it. He's jumped on. in the back.
He's been good in that third quarter, Mumford, as well. Got his hands on the ball, but his pressure and tackle around the contest was great.
To Kennedy, long. Front spot. No free kick to Carlisle. Was manhandled a little. Westhoff from the wing. About to be run down. Just gets it back in time, but he wasted too much time. Was there prior opportunity there? Still not trying hard enough to get rid of it, and Jacobs pays the price. Maybe for giving it to Westhoff in the first place. Kieran Jack. Good's the target. He won't get near it. Chaplin.
Chaplin and Carlisle, for that matter, just reading the ball really well. The long ball, especially, that comes into the Swans, that just have got in front of their direct opponents, and they're reacted much quicker.
Yeah, Alapate Carlisle coming off a 2-kick game last week. It wasn't his best of weeks, but they've bounced back again today. The men have played those key posts for Port Adelaide in defence, combining well. Redden to Boat. Wanted to give off a handball. Ricochets. Cassisi, Westhoff, Jacobs. A floater. Frontal contact. Free kick to Matner. John McCarthy thought he did pretty well there.
Yeah, I would have thought from this far away he did pretty well as well. A bit unlucky.
A wobbler, tough to grab. Surgeon runs back with it. Hartlett, Redden didn't want to take it, wanted to knock it on to a teammate. O'Keefe wrapped up by Ebert, jumped on.
And O'Keefe threw himself forward, just trying to milk the free kick, but didn't get away with that one.
He's tried that a couple of times today, just to get that free kick inside 50.
Just felt contact and dives forward.
Jack, high to the square. Hartlett, Stewart over the top. Goods almost pounce. Rowan does. Slips it out to Goods. Wants to take them on and have the shot himself. He bends it around. It's high to the square. Westhoff, Hartlett both there. Ball lose a couple.
Contact, sure.
Nearly went through for a goal.
Talk about frontal contact in the marking contest.
Yeah, well, Westhoff was dumped there.
Looking slow to get up.
It appeared live that he got jumped in the front, the knees into the chest. Here it is, just the long ball coming in.
Yeah, that'd be frontal contact.
Pretty much so, I would have thought. And he's worn out as it is. He's been spending most of the game up on the wing, covering a fair amount of territory.
Schultz to where he'd like to be, to Daniel Stewart. He's got a couple to beat here. Makes a good contest. Thomas, he's got no one in the square. Forced to backtrack and wait for the cavalry. Centre and kick, magnificent to Ebert. And he has kicked 2 crucial goals so far this afternoon. One in the second and one in the third. And this kick to give Port Adelaide the lead for the first time since early in the opening quarter.
That was great work from Thomas to assess the situation, but Stewart to make a contest and get the ball down.
From 50. Strikes it pretty well. Hits the post.
And we spoke about the defence of Port Adelaide. Trengo's been really good. He's had 22 disposals, all in that back half. So he's working really well, along with Carlisle and Chaplin.
Mumford. Bird. Port Adelaide still yet to use their sub. I think they'd bring the sub on, Cameron O'Shea, shortly to give them some run. Sydney have used there. Andreas Everett on. McGlynn done for the afternoon.
As you speak, Duano, it was executed. So Adelaide Carlisle's come off with quad soreness, so he has been subbed.
So a defender down. Chaplin, flick on from Goods is good. Jack goes central to the square, backing back. Reed takes a crucial mark. Good kick.
And well done. Good lead up. Mumford, Goods getting involved. Then the really good kick from Jack to kick it over Trengove, straight to Reed, make it a really easy mark. And you'd think an easy shot at goal. Has been a bit of a problem with young Sam Reed in his first couple of years of his career.
Oh boy, he made the goal umpire dance. But that stings a bit for Port.
It does a little bit on the back of the fact that Ebert has a shot for goal at the other end of the ground, hits the post, and the ball goes down the other end of the ground. And a nice flick on there from Adam Goods. This is super play. This is the kick. kick to the advantage of your teammates. Reed able to get some separation. Separation on the back of Carlisle being subbed out of the game, because Carlisle had done an amazing job to this point of the game on Sam Reed.
Big Mumford back in this week after injury for round 2, but he's had more hits to disposals, been 11, than he's actually had disposals. Hits to advantage, rather, and just the 9 disposals, but he's been really effective with his hit-outs.
There he was on cue, straight to Parker, as you're explaining it, as if he knew what we were up to. Everett slung 360, no free. Jetta to the square, Reed on the march again, getting back Chaplin. 9 points the margin. Carlisle gone for the afternoon. Cameron O'Shea, the sub, now on for Port. Stewart. Good use of the body by Grundy. Thomas wanted to go backwards instead of going forward. Pearce short. McCarthy waited.
Yeah, just waited. Had to attack the ball.
Trying to make amends, but it's out of play.
Port Adelaide's work on Kennedy and Parker in the second half has been excellent. Parker's only had the 3 disposals for the half so far, and Kennedy with just 5. They dominated the first half for the Swans.
Kennedy couldn't break free on cue for you there. McVeigh outside of the boot to Goods. Secondary slap down by Chaplin works. There's the sub, O'Shea. Hands it up just in time to Jacobs. See, dainty and dangerous. Cassisi. He's got Corns and he needs to hit him on the release kick. Not slippery enough to get away from Madden. Played for 50, went to ground, and it worked against him. Broadbent. Pushed in the back on the kick. So not downfield, it will come back to where he was.
It just allows the Swans to get back. See the kick, the push there from Marty Matner. But it has slowed the play up, and certainly the Swans have clogged up the defensive half.
Schultz can't jump. They get a contest. Kennedy. Parker. O'Keefe. And now Reed on the wing. Up and brought it down. Didn't hold it long enough, and Cassisi knocks it to the line.
A lot of nerves and tension in the coach's box. And certainly that fingernails going, getting a fair gnawing from Matty Primus. And a bit of stress with Johnny Longmire as well.
Sydney Swans are undefeated. Want to make it 3 from 3. Paul Stewart long. Gray, front spot. Johnson knocks it down. Gray keeps his feet. Twist to turn. Might have a shot himself. To the square. Schultz! Couldn't take the mark. Ball hits the deck. Malcheski shuffles it back. Grundy goes toward the line. Schultz knocks it back in. Caught by Richards. Smothered. Pearce tries to thread the eye of the needle. No, goes with the pass. And Stewart will line up.
Well, how good was Schultz in that passage of play, able to lock the ball inside forward 50 with some fantastic couple of efforts, 2 or 3 efforts there.
Opens up the angle and kicks the goal. It's back to 3 points.
2 big goals by Stewart, one in the third quarter, running in from 35 on a 45-degree angle, and now that one there, the snap. But it's this play here from Schultz in the marking contest, works over, gets in front, taps the ball back into play, and then Pearce with a nice interception and smart kick. Good composure.
Really good kick. You just thought Stewart wanted to do something there. He looked like he wanted the handball off. Wasn't confident. In the end, a good choice and good kick. Yeah, nice goal. Just brings the margin back to 3 points. So he's been a handy player. Very athletic forward, Stewart is.
And he goes straight up for the ruck contest. Parker caught. We've got to kick away. Everett gathers. Punts a long one in the Goods direction. Can he get a fly at it? Ball knocked down. Reed should stroll in. Instant reply. Gives to Goods. Goal. Took 8 seconds. Back to 9 points.
Well, their clearance work has been really strangled in the third quarter and early in the fourth, but the clearance there was worked for the Sydney Swans. Get the ball in quickly. Now, Goods and Reid weren't able to take clean possession to start with, and in the end, probably the Port defenders spoiled each other. Sam Reid got the crumb-in ball and over to Adam Goods, who was just running nicely into the goal. That's probably... It's the only way Goodsy looks like he's going to get him at the moment. He just hasn't been clean at all, but he pops up at the right time.
Only 11 disposals, 5 shots at goal. Right?
Ton of time left in this. 10 minutes gone, final term. Kennedy didn't dispose of it legally, had to be ball.
Good tackle from Hartlett. Off half back into the midfield.
Well, he had Boak, he ignored him. He goes long, hoping Schultz can take the big grab. Umpire says that he pushed Richards out illegally.
They're interesting, those ones. I mean, if your player, as Ted Richards on this occasion, probably in the back a little, but he was off balance, so he went to ground easily.
Said it a few times, blessed are the meek with those. Sometimes the stronger man loses out. Hartlett. And the weaker man wins easily. Richards, that was a great attack and a good mark.
There's nothing weak about those hands from Teddy Richards. A really accomplished defender these days, and that's great mark under pressure. Just looked like he was going to be pushed under the ball. Good hands.
Out of sight, Chaplin, he thumped it away from his own man, Hartlett. Ball in.
Teddy Richards, I think you mentioned in the purple boots.
Yes.
I thought he would have been black and white sort of type of guy.
Very loud for an experienced campaigner, I would have thought.
Purple might be the new black.
Oh, your grassroots type.
Daniel Stewart got a toe poke out of that. Jude Bolton toward Goods. Chaplin right with him again. Overcommitted. Goods runs back onto it. He's away, but there's no one home. He wobbles it inside 50. O'Shea. Goods might have to get his own ball. O'Shea overruns it. Rowan gives it up to Goods. Hands to O'Keefe. That's a killer.
Well, there's little doubt there, Jono. That was the chip and chase from Adam Goods.
It was.
And just put it up in front of him about 40 metres and just knew he was going to have to be the next target, so he kicked it to himself. But this is the critical error here when the Port Adelaide player comes in, goes low, and I'm not sure, was it Stewart there? O'Shea. Just the sub has just come on the ground and just overran the ball, and you just got to keep the ball in front, get it to the boundary line at the very least.
Well, they've lost out twofold with the sub, Port Adelaide. They need Alapate Carlisle now, and they haven't got him. And Cameron O'Shea looks a little rusty coming off the bench as the sub. Out to 15 points. Mumford. Boat fights on. Cassisi hands it out. Ebert. The clearance. Johnson got a hand to it. Schultz. Johnson did well. Broadbent collects. Johnson collects him. No prior opportunity. Ball up. For those new to the game, watching up north, perhaps a couple of new teams in. If you take possession and you don't have a prior opportunity to get rid of it, you're tackled as you take possession. The umpire gives you the benefit of the doubt when it comes to holding the ball decisions. Hartlett gives it up. Outside of the foot by Ebert. Oh, it rolled through a couple. And it's a behind. Game's still alive.
Absolutely, the game's still alive, and Port Adelaide rushing to try to get the zone in place, weren't able to, and the quick kick may expose Port Adelaide here.
Jack got away from a tackle, slips it to Goods, who drops it.
Still can't get a handle on the ball, Goodsy.
Grundy, just past White. Ball still in, Trengove. Oh, White got him high, surely. Well, Trengove thought he did. Oh, you're joking.
Absolutely.
Got to play to the whistle.
Well, then it was out of bounds deliberately.
Absolutely. It was in retrospect, I think, that high tackle. There's no doubt about it. There's no high tackle there.
That's hilarious. Trengove to the wing. McCarthy, strong hands.
That's some good things.
Robbie Gray earlier stopped waiting for a whistle. Trengove on that occasion as well.
Schultz got there. Fantastic contest. Schultz and Matner made the commitment. And we'll get a ball in.
Hard contact on Marty Matner here. Hit very hard. Seen a few stars, but he's back up and walking around.
Ball back into play. Everett slips it out. Bird slips into a high one.
Right the way he called it there. I think he slipped into that. He just went low, and I think Stewart accidentally got him high.
Possession 29 coming up for Luke Parker. Biggest haul of his career. Toward White. Forced to slap it down. Rowan keeps it alive to his own advantage. Keeps it in front. There's a lesson for O'Shea, who's behind him. And we'll get a ball in. 14 points the margin. Still 9.5 minutes left.
We know Rowan's got some speed. He's very quick.
Just needed that ball to bounce up, didn't he?
Back into play. Kennedy caught. Taken out. There it was again. No prior opportunity.
Plenty of tired boys down here. Plenty of cramping going on from both teams. But the interesting thing, Port Adelaide are down to low 50% kicking efficiency this quarter. So really dropped off.
That's a massive drop at a critical time of the game. There's free kick against Mumford.
Redden gets the free.
It looks like he's battling away quite well, Redden. And,
Oh, my goodness.
Sorry.
Praised him a little too early. Adam Goods. They could finish them off here and now. Reid, little fumble. And Port Adelaide still alive. And Reid knows it. You can see it on his face. That could have been it. But Port Adelaide live to fight again. Pearce.
I think Redden knows it as well.
Even. 9 minutes from full time. Daniel Stewart. 15 points, 3 kicks the margin. Jacobs.
Well, they've got the extra number wide, but they've come back this way.
Bolton.
Which was the mistake, because they were outnumbered on this wing. They had to get to the other side. Although the Port Adelaide crowd were booing, they certainly had to soak up that pressure and stick to what they knew was the right move.
White the leaper. Tringove with him. Jesse White's free. Swans about to go inside 50. 17 minutes gone. Final term. Quirk of the draw means this is the only time these two teams meet this year. High to full forward. Mumford off some hands. Tried to break through a tackle. Got one for too high. Mumford's ball.
Well, I reckon Mumford's been good. Just his intensity around the contest in this second half in particular. And we know his second and third efforts and ground level work is very good. And he caught one high there, so he deserves the free kick. This will make it very tough for Port Adelaide if he slots this one through to stretch the lead out to 21 points.
Some boos. This will hush the crowd. We'll find out what Port are made of now. They lead by 21.
Well, Port Adelaide certainly had their chances. Started this quarter to hit the lead. Eben hits the post, and from that point on, Sydney were able to go the other end of the ground and kick a goal and then take control back from Port Adelaide in this quarter. And Mumford there has worked very hard. 10 hit-outs to advantage today. And being able to give first use to the midfield. Parker, Hanbury, Kennedy have certainly got most of their ball today on the back of Mumford's work in the middle of the ground.
(92-71), 21 points with 19 minutes gone. Redden knocks it down. Jack caught, didn't dispose of it legally. Cassisi steals it. Everett, Hanbury. Westhoff comes hard, so too White. Westhoff gets there first, dropped it, felt the tackle, got a free. And that could be 50.
It has to be 50. Well done from Westhoff. He's leading the disposals for Port Adelaide as we hear the explanation from the umpire. Westhoff, this will be possession number 24. Takes possession and quickly gets rid of it. And there's the 50-metre penalty with Adam Goods just blazing away towards his goal.
Heads to the pocket, strangely enough. Richards held up. Daniel Stewart can't mark. Pearce grabs it.
They're going to bunch in the pocket, the forwards for Port Adelaide. Ball goes out of play. Yes, they hold it in. being in this position where they need to score, get that ball long to a group 30 metres out from goal in the middle, so at least they're a chance to get front and centre goals.
Kick hacked out the 50. Goods can't trap it initially. They've got the numbers around it though. He and Rowan work together. He bangs a long ball. There's a race on. O'Shea in another difficult spot here. He overran the last one. Oh, Jenner gets there first and beats him to this one. Has a bounce, runs away. Good night.
Oh, that's going to make it really tough for Port Adelaide now. Just that soft goal and some good work in the lead up from Adam Goods just to get it out in front of his Swans teammates, just to put pressure on the Port defence to turn them around. And a bit of a fumble again. You've got to take clean possession in your back half, especially late in the game. It's tapped on straight to a Swans forward, and Jetta just with all that space and all that pace just wanders into an easy goal.
Jetta there certainly kicked one to the roof of Amy Stadium at the other end early in the game. That time looked like he was going to launch a big barrel again, but just dribbles it through.
Harlow to half forward. Grundy collects. McVeigh. Swans know. They just need to mop up a minute or two now and it's all over. Stewart, stop any instant reply. 27 points the margin. 6 minutes left. Time against Port Adelaide. They've given it their all, but right now it's the biggest margin of the game and a good time to have the biggest lead of the contest. Cassisi. Richards, ball eludes him. Grundy. Reid. Trengove. It's fought manfully. Stolen by Kennedy. McVeigh. Bouncing ball towards Goods. Chaplin right with him. Goes to ground though. O'Keefe gives to Goods. And he can't collect.
Matty Primus just looking at what moves he can make to make a difference late in the game. They certainly have to clear this ball straight out of this situation. Deep defence, have to get it over the back and run the risk of conceding the goal.
McVeigh from the pocket. A little bit of icing on the cake.
Very good win in the end for the Swans. For 5 minutes to go, they've just been able to really strangle Port Adelaide as far as possessions are concerned. See, Mumford gets the ball down the front and once again dangerous position because there was space there. There were no defensive sweeper for Port Adelaide and the Swans just had two players running into an open goal there. So good work for the Swans, some great work from McVeigh and very good win by the look of it.
Some great shots there. Jared McVeigh, who endured a tragic 2011 with the loss of his daughter, is patting his armband again and pointing to the sky. Hope you're enjoying the pictures in high definition. Been a great game to bring to you. Port Adelaide have fought manfully, but it's going to be the Sydney Swans afternoon. Even. Cassisi.
He's worked hard as well, Cassisi.
Go to the top of the square, you'd think. Stewart shoots. Stewart from 3 deep.
Well, they've paid the mark. That's a good grab in a real pack. That is a genuinely contested mark. So great jump. Cassisi just doing some great work. Plenty of disposals. 24.
He knows time's against them and he rushed it, squeezed it in. It's back to 27 with 4.5 left.
Here's the big jump, and Schultz was up there as well and probably got a fair piece of the ball to start with, but Stewart was there for the...
he was the third man to touch it.
He was the next person in line and convinced the umpire that he had enough of the ball early and got the goal. So good reward for Stewart. He's been a handy player. He looks lively whether he's in the ruck or up forward.
Good afternoon, Daniel Stewart. He's been around a bit, played footy in WA, Victoria, Queensland and South Australia in the lead up to getting drafted. Spent some time with North Adelaide. Spent more time at the bar at the North Adelaide Football Club than he did on the field at one stage, because he was the barman there.
Oh, that's a fair point then, Dwayne. Very nice. I thought, geez, you're giving him a slap here. No, it looks like he's got a reasonable future in front of him.
Yep, 200 centimetres. They're hard to find with that athleticism. Kennedy back. McVeigh. Jacob stands under it with Rowan. Jetta hasn't done a lot, but what he's done's been good. Good tackle. Combines with Shaw. Mumford in the thick of it again. Surgeon slips it out to Jackson Trengove, who's also had a good afternoon at the office. McCarthy. Tough ball to gather. And Richards, his fist isn't just a spoil, it normally kills the contest. That's why, well, he normally plays 100% of game time. Last week he played 100% again. Very rarely gets rested. Didn't get rested under Paul Roos. Still rarely rested under John Longmire. Gray. Caught. Ridden a little by Kennedy.
Oh, a little unlucky there. Kennedy was a little lucky. So Gray just missed out on that opportunity. First game back. He's had enough of the ball. I mean, 12 and looked dangerous in the forward half, but only kicked the forward behind. So really could have had a big impact on this game if he converted a bit better.
Yeah, maybe put Adelaide with a couple out. David Roden, John Butcher. I know the Swans have got a couple out too, like Lewis Roberts-Thompson, who missed today, and a couple of others. But John Butcher is part of the big future for Port Adelaide as well. But Redden is forward on, and he gets a possession for his trouble here to Boak. Westhoff's got a couple to beat. Thumped down by Grundy. Everett, who's given them some spark since coming on as the sub. Hanbury to Grundy. To Goods.
The other one Port Adelaide can't afford to lose for a little while is Alapati Carlisle. He heads off the ground with a sore quad. Lee Colbert mentioned earlier. And he did have a fantastic game up until that point.
Trengove got a hand on that in opposition to Reid. Hibbert gets one for too high. Massive game for Port Adelaide next week. They have Collingwood next week. Port Adelaide at Etihad Stadium. The Sydney Swans, with Adam Goods breaking the Swans games record. He equalled it today. Next week have North Melbourne at the SCG. That's Port Adelaide's next four, the showdown after Collingwood. So a massive few weeks coming up for Port Adelaide. If they're to have a better season this year than last, and you'd think they would, just 3 wins last year, Matty Primus. But they got a tough draw this year. They only play Greater Western Sydney once and the Gold Coast once, even though they finished 16th last year. So that makes it a little tougher than some who've got 4 games against those two. Wingard.
Great vision.
Floats it to Thomas. And he can go back and have the shot with around 2 minutes left.
It is a tough draw, Dwayne, but you look at it from a Port Adelaide perspective, they've got some big games against some quality opposition. They've got some competitive nature back in the way they play, especially through their contested marking, their contested possession. So against the better teams, if they can match it for most of those games, that'll certainly help them in the future.
Yeah. But it still comes down to you need the wins.
You do.
And Thomas slots it, and it'll be a respectable loss this afternoon, but it'll be a loss nonetheless.
Yeah, well, they have shown plenty, as you touched on with the the draw about who you play, whether it's Suns and the Giants, and you can even include Melbourne. I mean, they've got off to a terrible start. Teams like Adelaide and Brisbane, they play all 3 of those teams twice, so they've got 6. Whereas, as you said, at the other end of the scale, certainly Port Adelaide, they don't have the opportunity to play at all those teams, which you'd love to have. It could be critical with some teams going straight into the finals with percentage, but you wouldn't mind. Matt Thomas has been a handy player as well, and he's another one of that group that could really develop into a nucleus of a good team moving forward over the next couple of years.
Surgeon to Corns, McCarthy. Crowd don't know how long left, but it says 30 minutes on the scoreboard right now. 21 points the margin. Hanbury squeezes it wide. McVeigh. Jack.
The other player Port Adelaide would be excited about is Chad Wingard. That last passage of play, he went third man up in the contest on centre wing, was then able to keep pushing forward, and a very smart kick to Matt Thomas, who went back and converted. But the way he works, Chad Wingard, only 8 disposals, but he has worked quite hard today for Port Adelaide.
Yeah, he's their pick 6 from last year, South Australian under-18 captain, so he comes in with leadership credentials as well, which is important with youth. You want them to not only be good players, but good leaders for the future, change the culture slightly from a 3-win culture to a professional winning culture. 45 seconds left. 22 points the margin.
Jono, how deep can Sydney go? Can they really get up into that top 4 and 5?
I think they can, especially to the start. They've had 3-0, so that's important. Will they replace Collingwood in that area of the ladder?
Kasisi told to go, hugs the boundary. Everett rises, can't complete it. Broadbent, Redden, Wingard, the man that Brad Johnson was speaking of. Daniel Stewart turns it over, but it's probably the best he could do. But they are quality again in 2012, the Sydney Swans. Undefeated, 3 wins from 3 games, and they are equal top of the AFL ladder at the end of round 3. Carlton's up there, still a few games to be played. But the Sydney Swans have done all their coach could possibly ask for. Adam Goodes, who equalled the Sydney Swans games record with game 303 today, gave them enough when they needed. But they had some other superstars, some new players, and Luke Parker, arguably the best of them this afternoon, with a 30-possession game for the first time in his career. A 22-point win for the Sydney Swans. As we head downstairs, Lee Colbert.
Josh, 2 weeks in a row means you're in good form. Swannies are in good form, and so are you.
Yeah, we've really big focus this week, and it's been the same for the last 2 weeks. I feel like a broken record now. Just been hard and clean. We know Port have really improved in that area from last year. I think they were plus 20 in contested possession from last year, so we wanted to try and match them in that area, and we did for most of the day, and it was good to get away with the win.
Big Mummy back in the side certainly helped you out. I mean, 8 clearances yourself, but Luke Parker, what an impressive game for him.
Yeah, we got a really good mix now in the midfield, and you know, a lot of guys can go through there and play different roles as well. He's pretty good up half forward, and now Jude Bond, Kieran Jack was outstanding, and Hannah's is really starting to find some form as well for the win.
3/4 time, your coach came out and he really put it on some players. I know he gave Goodsy and Kieran Jack and Reece Shaw a wind-up, but certainly the whole group, and you responded.
Yeah, we want to really try and improve on last year, and to do that, we know that the good best sides they lift when it counts, and we were on the back foot a bit in the 3/4 time, and to be able to respond like that was great.
Huge game next week. All the very best. Goodsy's breaking the record. I know you'll enjoy it. So thanks for your time, mate.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
Josh Kennedy, one of the favourites for the Brownlow medal, a #1 clearance player in the game last year, and again, he looks like a tough man to stop in 2012. The Swans have now won the past 8 against Port Adelaide. They win at Amy by 22 points, 16-9, 105 to 12-11, 83.
Our